All right, thanks Simon, thanks Ben, thanks for being out this evening or being at home. I just decided that, whenever I do an interview, it's really nice to sit next to the guy. You can see his emotions, hear his story, and understand him a little bit better. Now, this young man, I've known him for quite some time. I watched his teeth grow into his head. I know a whole lot of things about him, but we're not going to talk about everything about his life tonight. We're going to do a little bit of a tight interview, and we're probably going to look over the last 3 years with Luke. And in that time, he's had to go through a lot of different things, develop and learn how to cope with a lot of different things. And one of the best things we ever did, and that was happening on Saturday, we celebrated a birthday. So Luke, 1 year old, what does your little boy mean to you?
So yeah, we've got little Wyatt Wilson. He's 1 year now, and it's everyone, like, I've got lots of younger brothers myself, obviously big family, and lots of friends with kids and stuff, and all those parents out there that sort of told me that your life's going to change, it's going to be different, or no longer be what your life was prior to that. And that it rang true. That did change me a whole heap, but you don't actually understand what they mean until you actually go through it, until you actually do take on that becoming a dad, and something innate inside you, something that's it's inside you somewhere, it switches on, and you get this little trigger on inside you, and I don't know, I've become a lot more sort of focused on just the things in my life rather than the things that were sort of out there that I was trying to go for and stuff. But now it's sort of a lot more internal, and I focus on the family a lot more and things like this here. And that was never me before that. I was always looking for the next challenge, and this is a challenge. This is not a challenge as well, but it's a different type of challenge, and it's it's been exciting. But just that innate switch that turns on in you as you become a dad, it happened very early for me. It happened as soon as he was born. And I remember that Catherine, my wife, had to get taken away because it was quite a traumatic birth, and the poor little fella had a bit of a rough time, and I didn't realise the severity of the situation. I was sort of shocked by everything going on. I was thinking that this was just the normal thing that's going on, but I later learnt that some of the things that happened just before he was born were quite stressing, and the doctors were quite concerned, the nurses were quite concerned, and here I am oblivious to the whole thing. But when I reflected back, I realised that they were quite concerned with what happened, and he got taken away from me, and the nurse said to me, "It's okay, well, we're going to take him away from you for 10 minutes. It'll be 10 minutes, that's all." And I'm sitting there about 25, 30 minutes later, and maybe 45 minutes later, and I'm getting quite concerned. He'd already been through a traumatic part of his life coming into the world, and then something switched over in me. I could become very, very very concerned very quickly, and I had to go looking for him to find out what was going on with him. And anyway, the nurses come found me and go, no, it's all fine. He's fine. There's no problem at all. I said, you said you're going to be 10 minutes. It's been 45 minutes, whatever. It was probably only 30 minutes or whatever. It was probably a little bit, making it a bit more dramatic, whatever it was. But that switch turned on. I became very protective very quickly. And I think that's what everyone was trying to tell me about, is that the changes in your life, as much as you don't get sleep anymore and you don't have time to do what you want as much, you're always doing something else for him or whatever it is, there was a deeper change that happened in me as well, and it was very interesting to go through that experience.
Yeah. So the start, you couldn't even talk to your parents, you couldn't talk to us through all that because it was all about COVID and everything else. Now, another event that happened just before that was up on the mountain, up at One Tree. Tell us a little bit about what happened on that particular time.
Yep. So we had a good COVID. I think COVID's been really good for me. I turned 40 years old. It was a big sort of birthday there and a big milestone for me. But just before that, about 2 weeks before that, Catherine, my partner, and I got married, and we jumped at the chance to have a small, intimate wedding with just mum and dad, two of my very close friends, two of Catherine's very close friends, her mother, and the celebrant. And where a lot of people were jumping up and down, not being able to have their big weddings, we were like, yep, definitely this is perfect for us. Let's have that tiny, small, intimate wedding in a really beautiful location. And we're out on One Tree Hill, overlooking the Glasshouse Mountains in southeast Queensland. and it was just a spectacular day for us. It was a very, very meaningful day, having just such a small crowd and small intimate group there. I think it just made the whole day a lot better. It was a perfect day for me. In my mind, it was a perfect day. Catherine loved it as well, and we've got very fond memories of it. And then, then we had my birthday, and then 4 months later, we had Wyatt on the way as well. So having Wyatt there, even though he wasn't there outside of Mum at that stage, he was still there in the pictures. And you can see some of the pictures with Catherine and me, and then Wyatt's there as well, which is really nice. So, yeah.
Then, Luke, you had a job change. And, that became quite a stressful time for you. Just tell the guys a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I worked for Virgin Australia, the airline, and for me it was my dream job. I had worked for an airline previously, worked for Emirates Airlines when I was younger. Through 2008 through to 2010, around about the Gulf financial crisis, I worked with Emirates Airlines over in Dubai, lived in Dubai and experienced a lot of the world working for that company. I got to travel to 57 major cities in 45 countries in the 2.5 years that I was working with Emirates. And it was there where I met this guy that I saw him, the job that he was doing. I thought, it's a dream job. That would be the job that I'd love to do if I was to sort of vision what I wanted for my life and things that's here. And he was just a guy that was running training for airline staff. And I thought, that's a really fascinating job. He gets to travel around the world doing all these things here. And there was an opportunity for me to go to Virgin Australia, and it was the same type of role, same job. And it was a dream job for me. So I went for it, and I got it. And everything was going very smoothly. I was very, very happy in the industry and in the airline. I was sort of making good progress moving up in the world of the airline as well, and I was taking on new promotional roles, and I ended up finishing up with Virgin Australia as the leader of education for the cabin crew, the flight crew, and the ground crew. And I had a team of about 19 people that were reporting to me, and for the design of the education side of things. But then the COVID situation hit, and I took a pay cut for a good probably year. I was down to 50% of my salary, and that was quite hard to live through that whole thing with a heavily pregnant wife, and then a heavily pregnant wife towards the end of it. And we were really finding it financially difficult to stay afloat, where Catherine was taking a full year off of maternity leave. And then my salary was down to 50%, and we sort of hadn't changed much of our life other than the salary changing. Everything else was sort of ticking along, all the spending was ticking along as per it was. We weren't saving money anywhere really, and we were losing all of our savings quite quickly. So an opportunity came up to move out of Virgin, where it was a great dream job. It just wasn't to be at this stage in my life, and it was a good thing that an old boss of mine, I didn't work with directly, but it was a guy that I left a previous company with, and I said to him when I left, I said, if there's ever a role that you have in your position, under your role, under your title, that you want me to report to you, please let me know. Little did I know that gentleman 4 years later would become the managing director of the company that I was previously working for. And he called me up and said, listen, we've got a role for you, for a national role as a training manager for Australia. Would you consider coming back to the company? And I always said to him, if there was ever a role under you, I'll come and work for him. And it just so happened that he was able to offer me that role, which was a brilliant lesson in not burning bridges when you leave a company. It was a hard company to work for back then, and I could have probably left in bad terms, but I kept that really positive, and it was a good experience. And 4.5 years later, I'm back working there now, and I've been there for a year now. And it's probably going to be something I'll talk about a little bit later on, but just being thankful and grateful for what I do have in my life, and it is a great thing for me right now to have this role. So yeah.
Now look, through the area of the COVID, there was a program going around called Fund Me that you helped other people.
Yeah.
Tell the guys a wee bit about what that means to you.
Yeah. So with that whole thing, even though I was going through a lot of struggle, I didn't realise that the struggle was really impacting me until a little bit later on. But I'd only been in Virgin at that stage for about 2 years when everyone was losing their jobs. And Virgin was a place of employment where you had a lot of long-term staff. And a lot of the people that were losing their roles, and we're talking 1 in 3 people lost their role in a period of 3 months. Out of 2,500 people, that's quite a huge number, and a huge culling of the work staff. And that actually got worse and worse as it went on, and still till right now, there's still a lot of people are leaving that company, and it probably won't bounce back for another many years, And so I always felt that me being such a young staff member in that role, although I was progressing through and getting promotions and doing well, there was a lot of people that had their livelihood taken away from them, and we're talking families losing their full livelihood, where it wasn't just the father or a pilot losing his role, or it wasn't just the wife losing her role in crew control or whatever it might be, or cabin crew, whatever. Both parents and both family members were losing their role completely. And these are guys that have gone through and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to get to their accreditation to become a commercial pilot, and all of a sudden they've got no income. And a lot of the guys that I know are now managing things like a night IGA. They're doing the night shift for an IGA, or they're working beside the road doing the lollipop stuff there, or they're stocking shelves at Woolworths. And these are guys that are very experienced pilots. And I really felt, I really felt for these people. And there was so much misery, so much distraught people going around at that stage there. And I just knew that there was a lot of my friends that hadn't been doing tough. They had been doing quite well for themselves. They actually probably did better in their roles. Their companies prospered and stuff like this. And I thought, you know what, there's a lot of people out there that are really suffering, but there's other people out there that are doing all right. And I just know that my friendship group are a compassionate lot. And for me to prompt them to say, hey, listen, whatever you can give, let me know about it. And I'll go and buy some gift certificates, and I'll start handing it out to some of the guys at work that are losing their jobs. Within 24 hours, I had $2,000 donated to the GoFundMe account from about 20 people. Everyone probably put in about $50 to $100. One guy put in $500 just out of the blue. And I just started handing out these gift certificates anonymously. I didn't let anyone really know that was me, or in some cases I might have divulged it was a group of friends that was doing it, or whatever it is. And then I wrote a few posts back to the people that had donated and told the story about how impactful it was for that person to receive this little this certificate, this gift certificate. One girl messaged me on a Friday afternoon and said that she looked in the fridge that afternoon and had nothing in her fridge, and she had nothing coming in. She's a performer that sings at restaurants and bars and stuff, and she couldn't go and perform and get any income. And she was just at her lowest point, and something in her just triggered her mind to go and check the mailbox, and she found a $200 gift certificate there from the group of friends what I did. And she wrote an anonymous post that I saw on Facebook. She didn't know it was me at that stage, and it was just such a really beautiful message. And I don't know, that made me just want to do more of that stuff in the future. I really look at trying to be empathetic to others and help others now, and you get so much back from it, I think, yeah.
So, look, we're talking just tonight about you're travelling in the car, you've been listening to certain books just to help you.
Yeah.
Now, that's led to something pretty big for you. You told me you deleted Facebook, which is pretty big for you.
It sounds stupid, It sounds so dumb that I can talk about Facebook being a big thing for me to delete. I never would have thought that it was something that I would ever talk about and sort of bring up in conversation. It was never that big part of my life. Until you really sit back and look at how much it does control you, and not just Facebook, but it's the whole the habitual thing that I've got with checking my phone. And I even right now, it's right in front of me, and I know I'm conscious it's there. And I've been listening to this book. It's called The Resilience Project. It's from a guy that I didn't really resonate with him at first. It took me for a little bit of time to get into a few chapters to get into the audiobook. And I listen to this audiobook on my drive to work, half an hour every morning. But I find myself wanting to get back in the car to listen to this book, but I only listen to it when I'm in the car. But it's quite good now. And the reason it didn't resonate with me first is that this guy come from a private school, and I just felt that his life stories that he was trying to get across weren't really showing that he had been through anything that significant to really speak to others and stuff like this here. But a friend of mine put me onto it, and I thought I'll give it a bit more of a listen. He was some of the stories that he had just didn't resonate with me, and I was sort of losing sort of attention or wasn't really eager to get into the book. But then he started to hit the real content of the book and what he went through and stuff like this here. And it's all about, he calls it the GEM, G-E-M. And it's about gratitude, being empathetic to others, and being mindful. And I didn't really understand what the mindful one was at the first part. I understand what empathetic was, like putting yourself in others' shoes and trying to see it from their point of view and being compassionate to what they're going through. The gratitude one is something that's really taken a big part of my life just in the last year with White coming on and having a healthy boy and then some of the other things that have hit my life as well, just making the right financial choices and I find myself, and you know, I've lost, I don't think I've lost it. It's in there somewhere. I was brought up a Christian and I sort of brought up believing in God and things like this here. Just this year, I've started to think about things where I find myself going, you know what, I'm in a really good space. I feel really happy about this year. I feel something's coming over me, and I just find myself going, just saying, thank you, God. I don't know why it sort of triggers me to think about it, but I just think I went, I hate these interviews. It always gets me, but it just makes me really reflect on things. And I think I took a lot of stuff for granted up until this point in my life, you know, and for something, it's just something happened to me again. It started triggering it off, and I just started to really reflect on that I haven't got it too bad in my life. I'm doing a lot of things right, and I just had to sort of think about why are these things going right for me. I just couldn't pinpoint what it was, and I just started to say thank you for the chances I've got, and thank you for the good things that are coming my way. And it's not like I've had a hard life. I haven't been through huge amounts of struggle. I've had some really things that have impacted me hard, but I don't know, this year I've just been really, really focusing on that, being grateful for things that are coming my way. So just coming back around to the book, and so gratitude was something that I was quite familiar with, and I've been expressing that for the last year. And the empathetic, I've always been very conscious of other people, and I've always had a bit of a soft spot, and I always look out for others as well. But the mindful thing, I didn't understand that. I didn't know what that was, and I sort of tried to look back and work out what it was and how I've become mindful in my life. And mindful is the whole reason why I deleted my Facebook account, is because I just felt like I was wasting so much time that I don't have much time, to be honest. And I'm always time poor. I'm always working, or I'm coming home to look after Wyatt, to get Wyatt ready for bed, or having a shower with him. And then by the time he's in bed, I'm then doing something else. But the stuff that I was doing in the evenings was just such a waste of time. And I found myself not being present in the moment with my wife, and not being present in the moment with my little boy, and not being present like I am being present right now and talking with my father, you know, this sort of thing here. Not calling people to have a chat with people, and I've lost that touch with some of my friends and things like this here. And that's that mindful thing for me, is getting back to that stuff there as well. And yeah, so that book has really resonated with me. I find myself wanting to listen to more of it now, and where I didn't really attach myself to the guy's message at the start, I didn't really connect with him. This guy is just an amazing guy, and he goes around to speaking to men all over. That his focus is mainly on men, young men, middle-aged men, elderly men. He talks with all of the football clubs out there, every NRL team, all the AFL teams. He does this speech about resilience and just being gratitude, focusing on your gratitude, focusing on your empathy for others, and focusing on your mind being mindful about the situation and stuff. And that was really good message.
So this year you've had a couple of projects that could have ended up being really, really good or really expensive. Tell the guys what you've been up to with your projects.
So it's one of the things that I've just found myself going, you know what, thank you for guiding me, whoever it was, and be it God or whatever it might be. And in my mind I was thinking, thank you God, whatever. But I was about to endeavour down a pathway where I bought a boat, and I think Simon, you had been to the house and seen my boat that I was working on, and I bought this boat when I was I had a fair bit of time working for Virgin, and then all of a sudden I found that I didn't have that time, and I was working full time again, and it was becoming a money pit, and everyone says that a boat stands for bring out another 1,000, and I sort of learnt that pretty quickly, and Simon, I know you got a boat, you're probably smoking as well, and I had all these pictures of grandeur, and I was going to make this beautiful boat and go out there in Moreton Bay and stuff, and it was just becoming more and more money, and I was about to go and invest about $45,000 into an engine for the boat, and $45,000 no chump change. That's a big investment, and I had these thoughts that this is going to bring back. I'll be able to sell the boat for more, and I was thinking all this stuff here, but I think it was Mum that said, you need to probably think about that again. And I did. I went and thought about it again. And you said that Mum said it, and then I thought Dad said this as well. So maybe I need to reconsider this here. And anyway, long story short, I decided not to go down the pathway. I actually looked at selling the boat, and some idiot bought the boat off me as a project boat. And I made some money off it, and I didn't make much off it, but I actually got my money back. And then that led to other things happening, and I've had a few good little investments in just things that I tinker away with, and I'm now in a much better position where I'm not in debt that $45,000, but I've got that sort of equivalent money now sitting there ready to go for a house deposit, which is, it's a bit silly at the moment with this COVID situation going on. There's no houses to buy and they're very expensive, but I'm in a much better position financially where I was a year ago. You know, I was going through changing a job, losing a job, buying a stupid boat, and then having no savings anymore. But now I've sort of come back again, and I'm very grateful for that. So that's that project there.
So just, did you want to talk about the events that are coming up tomorrow, or how do you find that?
I don't know how to tackle this one because it's something that I'm challenged with in my mind, and so what happened, it's a very sad story, and a very good friend of mine from back when we were at high school, she's only my age, so she's just a bit younger than me, 40 years old, has 3 little children under 9 years old, and August last year she was given the bad news of having cancer, quite a lot of cancer in her body, and they tried to treat it, but they couldn't treat it in time, and it spread quite quickly for her, and she was given 6 months to live. That was back in August, and I think she fought it for as long as she could, and I didn't really understand. She put herself through a really long, drawn-out process, and just long story short, she has passed away just last Thursday, and I got the call Friday last week. It just happened I started to listen to this book as well at the same time, and it's really, the two things have really hit home, some of the messages from the book, and then having this major thing in my life happen as well. It sort of really worked in well, but I just want to quickly talk about the situation that she went through, and she got 14 months out of a whole 6 months that she was given. She got an extra 8 months on her life, I think she had. And I think, now I think about it, is I think that she prolonged her life as much as she could, because every extra day that she spent with her children was just to help them transition through to her not being there in the long run after it. And I think that the children, as young as they are, from 12 down to I think 6 years old, I think they are, around about that age, I think they knew that their mum was sick, and I think that they could see that every day she stayed in this world, she was getting worse and worse and worse. And I think that transition through that period, the children at the end of it were ready to say goodbye to their mum because they saw that she was struggling so much. So that really, that was a really deep message I got from that whole experience from her, and I really wanted to talk to her towards the end, but she wasn't in a state to, and I sort of just messaged her quite regularly. She never messaged me back, but I was told through a friend that's living down there and helping her and stuff that she was appreciating my messages. She just couldn't respond back. She was that ill. But I just constantly messaged her and sent her photos about Wyatt and about what I'm doing in my life, and I'm going camping this weekend, or I've got whatever it was, and I think she really liked that sort of thing, even though she couldn't respond back. But the thing that I'm struggling with right now is that I'm not going to be able to make the ceremony that's at a friend's house. She's in Canberra, so we can't attend the service anyway. It's going to be online. and I can't go to the service where all my friends will be getting together. And the thing that challenges me, and what I feel is I've let her down, I've let my friends down, I've let myself down through wasting time prior to this year. And I've got to a point where I can't change what I'm doing on that day because I've got quite a big work meeting that I need to dedicate myself to. But I can't stop to think, if I hadn't have wasted time before this work meeting, I might have been in a better position to change that work meeting around, but I've delayed it for so many times now. And some of you out there might be thinking, well, work's work. Your friendships in your life is more important than that. But for me, it's deeper than that. For me, it's just I feel like I've let myself down because I've delayed and wasted time to this point, and I don't want to now sacrifice the time of my work for this thing here because I feel it's another excuse that I'm going to give myself if I do that there. But I'm very torn because then it is the other side of things, it's friends and family, and that should come first sort of thing as well. So I sort of say this here without coming to the conclusion in my mind, and I probably won't come to this conclusion until after the fact, where I then will maybe regret the fact that I've not been to there or whatever it is. I'll stay tuned for next interview. I'm not sure how I'm going to feel for this here. And, I often find that, I don't realise the gravity of my decision sometimes until it's actually been and happened, and then you look back on it and you go, maybe I've made the wrong choice there. So I say that without having full understanding of what's going on right now.
Yeah. But understanding Luke was always a young man that when the exam times were there, it was the all-night session before the closing time to make sure it got out. Now, I mentioned to Luke earlier on, I said, whether you're at this type of meeting or not, there's nothing harm in giving them a phone call and saying, let's catch up for a coffee and let's spend some intimate time one-on-one. Luke, I as a dad just want to say you've never let the team down. You've never let our family down. I can honestly say as a dad, I love you so much. I love every aspect about you, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the sad. And yet it generates and grows you into who you are from here on through. And guys, the privilege I have is I have 5 sons, and many of the sons I'd love to do an interview with, and their comment to me is, Dad, I'm not ready yet. Now, one day they will be ready. But up until that time, I'll be a good dad, I'll be patient, I'll love into their lives, I'll work with them, I'll do whatever they ask, because that's what dads do. I'll also cry with them, I'll also laugh with them, I'll also party with them, and just continue being the man that God wants me to be, investing into my boys' lives. Luke, is there anything else you'd like to say to the men?
I look forward to listening to my brothers, the interviews, if they ever get around to doing it. There's some of them, the experiences they've been through their life, it's phenomenal, and it will touch people, and you can learn from it so much. And I'm thinking more about Caleb. And
Caleb's my boss, by the way, fellas. Yes.
He's got stories to tell, and he needs to tell his stories because it's just going to help so many other people out there. He's the one that's been through the challenges. And
all right.
Thank you for letting me share tonight. I appreciate it.